Libhange le-First National Bank lahlanganisa abahleli betindzaba ngaphansi kwenhlangano ye-Editors Forum lapha enhloko-hhovisi yaleli bhange ezulwini. Kulo msebenzi bekade kucalwa-ke wekucala wona-ke umsebenzi lobitwa nge-press play lotawuba khona njalo kabili ngeminyaka ngekusho kwalo-ke libhange. Lapho-ke kulo msebenzi bekade kukhona umphathi lomusha wakhona ebhange umnumzane Thokozani Dlamini locala nje wendlalela kwekuthi ingabe kusukaphi kusebenzisa emabhange noyokuthi kundlondlobala nekutfutfuka kwabo ngetebuchwephesha kusita kangakanani sivele singemakhasimende. Ubuvetile ngebukhuni lebebekade bukhona esikhathini takadzeni kwatisa-ke ukuthi kwenta tintfo letehlukahlukene bekade kuthatha sikhatsi. Dlamini ushito-ke ukuthi balibhange-ke batimisele ukuthi live laseSwatini nalo ligcine lifike etigabeni letifana nalamanye emave ukuthi umuntu angakwenta konke ngamahlelekhukhwini wakhe uma-ke asebentisa lona leli bhange kuthi akwati kuthenga konke lakudzingako.
Do you remember checks? I think for the younger generation, they don't even know what checks are. but just trying to look at trends, okay? Long time ago, when people were bartering, our grandfathers, great-grandfathers, they would go to someone and say, listen, sell me so many crops. You had a bumper harvest of maize, and then I will give you 2 goats or something like that. That was bartering, but that was still a way of payment. Okay, and then that evolved over time in certain instances to gold and then coins, and then where are we now? We've got digital payments and all that. Okay, so payments is coming from way back. Okay, but it's constantly evolving. In our case, you have checks, those that can remember, and then zip-zap machines. I don't know, some of you also won't remember zip-zap machines. That's when credit cards were introduced. So what you do is you come into a store, they would put the credit card, zip, zap, okay? And then you sign. All right. That was still offline, by the way. So you could go in there, even if you know that there's no money in your credit card. You go there because they'll only most probably do a recon after 3-4 weeks and all of that stuff. So there was a problem with that. And I think that's what highlighted the importance of going online with transactions, okay? Then we got the first form of point-of-sale devices. FNB always defaults to speed points because they were one of the leaders in introducing point-of-sale devices. Okay, point-of-sale devices, speed points. One of the first ones was like big, like a typewriter. Why? Because it had a telephone line on it. So for the transaction to be online, you had to dial out once you swiped that card and all that. So then they became smaller and smaller and smaller. The cards as well started evolving. I think if you remember the first cards, Maxstripe, yeah? And then as technology advances, chip, okay? And then where are we now? You've got contactless cards, okay? Worse off now through digital wallets, you can now tap your wearable, your phone, your watch, anything that is contactless enabled. And then from a trends perspective, just 8 areas that we think are quite important from that perspective. So people want to have solutions that will enable them to pay across the border. That's the one. And then A2A, that's account to account. Previously, with the introduction of cards, everything runs on card rails. Whether it's Visa, MasterCard, it's card rails. But what clients started saying is that, listen, I want an alternative to that, where I'll be able to pay from one account to the other without touching card rails. So you have fintechs as well as other financial institutions that are introducing solutions that will enable A2A, including instant payments. Okay. So new players plus solutions, lots of fintechs that are coming into the area. What are they seeing? So I'll make an example. Investors don't just throw money for the sake of throwing money. There's a company that I've been following for a couple of years now called Yoko. I don't know if some of you know Yoko. Yoko looks at payments. They provide speed points, okay? But they've also evolved now and look at e-com and all that. Within a six-year period, Yoko has been able to raise close to 1.9 billion Malani from investors. Investors believe in the dream of why payments is very important, why payments is very important for developing countries, and they are also believing the dream of the runway that they have in investing in a company like that. We're seeing lots of these different fintechs getting funding. We're also seeing the bigger companies now buying these smaller companies because they believe in payments and the dream that it includes, which includes in our case financial inclusion and all that. They believe in that because clients want that. You want everyone in the ecosystem so that they're able to reap of the different products that you provide. Modernizing infrastructure. So banks that started long time ago have infrastructure which is useful at that time, but over time it has to be removed. So we refer to that as legacy systems. Okay, FNB, just like nearly all the other older banks, are in the process. You can't keep up with what is required from a technology perspective if you do not replace that technology. That costs a lot of money as well. In fact, that's one of the reasons why the fintech, the newer players, are able to jump in, because they are able to be flexible in solutioning because they're using newer tech. But the older companies now are investing in making sure that they also replace those legacy systems and bring in newer tech. Okay. Cash to digital migration, it's happening. But the dream that we always have that there won't be any cash in the near term, it won't happen. There will be cash. What we talk about is decashing the environment. So as much as possible, provide the tools so that people will be able to transact without cash. Okay. But there has to be trust in the system. Why should someone take their money from under the pillow and put it in the bank? That's very important from a solutioning perspective. And I think with the discussions that we'll have later on, we'll debate that. And we'll also want some feedback from all of you in terms of what are your thoughts when it comes to that. Okay. New options for POS payments. I spoke about long time ago, typewriters evolving into speed point bricks, evolving into smaller speedies, and now having speed points on an application, on an Android application or e-commerce. You'll have that. Okay. And then CBDCs. So with the changing landscape, digital is becoming very important. And I think globally, governments, regulators have seen how cryptocurrencies have taken off, blockchain. And central banks have also said, listen, instead of always printing money, let's also introduce digital currencies. So CBDCs are central bank digital currencies. And I believe in the near future, we will see that as well in our country. Okay. And then lastly, regulatory intervention. Zil will touch on that. Part of the changes that are happening are regulatory driven. And we've got examples of that we will highlight in about 2 slides. Okay. Pause, I'll default back to pause again because I love it. Okay. So I've spoken about cash declining but remaining relevant. That's what we will see. Okay. But it's important that we continue to provide solutions that are contextual. We will see the environment being decashed, but it's not that cash will be removed completely. Okay. Digital wallets, I've highlighted that. Cards in different regions. So for example, in Europe, as I showed, cards are still dominant, but in Africa, we're looking at more digital wallets, but it's different flavors for different areas in the world. Okay, A2A, I've touched on it. Buy now, pay later. Okay, I just came back from the country, sorry. Buy now, pay later. Is it happening in Eswatini? And what's the feeling on that? Buy now, pay later, where you buy, and then they allow you to pay within 6 months, and all of this stuff. I'm a buy. You come in, you buy, you go with the good, and then they allow you to pay within 6 months or that. What's the feeling? What we have seen globally is there was a big hype over the past 3-4 years, but it is subsiding. Okay, a lot of people, especially the younger guys. Okay, the younger guys went in there. Your Gen Zs, the iGens, want to jump in there, buy lots of stuff, but now you're starting to see some of those offerings struggling. Eswatini, do we need that? Buy now, pay later. We do need it. Okay. We do need it. I see Martin Day shaking your head. We don't need it. Okay. That's another form of debate as well that we'd love to have. Prepaid cards. Prepaid cards, what you would find is in other areas, maybe you want to give someone, so you load on a gift card. In other areas, people were going into, maybe someone who's new, they are worried about opening up a bank account. They go and buy a prepaid card. You'll be able to load some cash on there, use that app, and that card is useless. That's another area from a card evolution. And then the last one, e-commerce versus POS. I've mentioned that. So with the advancement in technology and the demanding clients, what you find is other clients want what we term an omnichannel strategy, where someone will want to look at something online. They go to the shop, just look at what am I buying, get a feel of it, but be able to go and complete their transaction at home or wherever else they want. So from a payments perspective, what is now required, if you look at that ecosystem, is you must be able to accommodate what is happening online or on an application to what is happening in the store. Further to that, what does that mean? It means now if you were checking a sofa online and you like it, and you go to the store, when you go into the store, you get a notification on your phone. The sofa that you were looking at is actually located there. They've actually introduced the Black Friday discount for you on that one, if you're interested and all that. And you might even find one of the assistants coming to greet you there and telling you about that sofa, and if there's an alternative for that. That is omnichannel strategy. Why? It is contextual. It means you understand the customer, and customers are looking for people or service providers that show that they understand them. You're not just shoving a product at them. Okay. I think lastly on my side, just to give an example of 4 areas, we've covered this though. So in the UK, a developed country, we saw that they are dominated by cards. What are they looking at? They're looking at sweating the offerings that are based on cards, so the value propositions that are based on cards. Tap and pay, I see it's not that much in the country, but we will see it grow. So contactless, making sure that you're able to tap your card on a machine or any other NFC-enabled device. Okay, they are introducing, or they've introduced that in their transport system. Okay, in the UK. And then you look at the bottom, China. China has led the challenge when it comes to super apps with Alipay and all these other applications, making sure that they throw everything all into this one super app. Okay, other fintechs are coming up with stuff, and the banks as well, trying to make sure that they include applications, more applications, whether bank-related or non-bank related. Why? It's going back to that concept of, listen, contextual solutions. What are the clients looking for? And you are able to then provide that. Key that you provide everything that is needed on that application. If we talk technology, it means that you introduce the concept of APIs, where you can't do everything by yourself. So you make sure that you have strategic partners that will plug into your platform to make sure that you're providing all these contextual solutions. M-Pesa, I think we're all familiar with the story of M-Pesa that was introduced in Kenya. What we've seen there with the M-Pesa solution as well is amazing. Started off as a remittance, where some people wanted to send money from the towns to the rural areas. But it's evolved now. It's a full-on financial solution. They've partnered with banks to make sure that they provide solutions for them. So this one, when you see the evolution of the payments landscape, has been led by the mobile operator. But in other instances, it's led by the banks. Whichever way, as long as we make sure that we're providing contextual solutions to our clients. And then the last one, which Zil will pick up as well, is in Brazil. In Brazil, instant payments were regulatory led, and when they introduced them, we saw a massive spike in them and catching up to what has been seen as dominated by credit cards and debit cards. So there's all these different movements. Some of them are led by fintechs, some of them are led by banks, some of them are led by the regulator. But at the end of the day, we are taking advantage of the technological advancement. We're making sure that we are meeting the contextual needs of the clients, and also making sure that we are aligning from a regulatory perspective in protecting our clients' data and making sure that we keep them away from fraud and all of those related cyberspace crimes. Okay.
Baphinde futhi-ke base baphendula imibuto bekade iqhamuka kubo bahleli betindzaba leyehlukahlukene mayelana netingqinamba noma ngetinsayele babhekana nato bangemakhastoma anukela ibhange lapho bavete khona ukuthi bayalwa nengoke bucala losebanzile ngato-ke betebuchwepheshe lapho kwebiwa khona timali tebantfu tithathwe ngalokungekho emthethweni abakakushiyi ngaphandle kuveta kwekuthi baphinde futhi babuke kusebenzisana nalabanye labagcina timali tesive ngabohamba mali kuze kuthi uma ngabe unayo imali kuhamba mali ukwazi ukuyithumela khona-ke ebhange kodwa-ke bavetile ukuthi lokho sekusete igabeni lelisetulu kodwa-ke sive semaswati sitawatiswa uma-ke konke sekufike emaphethelweni.
Development is good, convenience is good. My questions will be around, I see you're working with regulators to ensure as we, transition, we are safe with our monies and we can trust the systems that are being put there. And you have said it's a whole lot of competition coming in now from the system developers that are coming through, and it's the one with the best that you banks are taking up as quickly as possible. The first one would be, in our case, you talked about Kenya. In our case, is it the banks driving the apps, the developments, or is it the banks that are initiating the process of innovating to create the products? And what is the contribution of the local participants in that, in terms of do we have local innovators who are jumping into this space quick enough and fast enough so that it's not importing a whole lot of this technology from outside, or are we still way far away from that? What is the sense, and is the whole of the products imported, or there's quite a sizable number that will be sort of internally generated, just to check where we are tech-wise with our gigs, if we still have along in the country. The other one, of course, is yes, for us parents, less excuse for not having cash, because it was easier to say, hey, ATM kashani mfano wami. But now that type of and then it brings in the issue of education around being disciplined with money. When things are easier to just tap and buy, and there's a sense that you can take those chances and just say, I'll find money, let me spend. And I asked this question before, where banks are all about making money, fine. But you guys have a responsibility to make sure that we use our money responsibly. And the more it is easier to use the money, I believe the more responsibility you have to also, along the programs that you have, put that in place to ensure that, a lot of Swazi's have lost their money because they lack the education to say, you can't just do anyhow, anytime, with the technology that is there. So I'm not seeing that. Maybe it's somewhere, and I lost in translation there, but I'm not seeing that much. And I think it's a very important component, because we've invested in Exponent, we've invested wherever. It's the lack of education, knowledge, and discipline. People, we all want to make money. The temptations, they come, I'll give you 50% return. We all want that, But if I'm well educated by those who are responsible saying, bring your money to us. It adds value to your product offerings there as well. And I think, finally, this all depends on whether I have data on my phone. The cost of data. But the cost of data is an issue. Are you, or do you have a plan to sit with these data providers to say, look, while we want to make banking convenient, we need to make convenience for our customers affordable as well. And while they are in business and we are in business, have a partnership of reducing data costs.
Raising awareness so that we address all the different issues we've been having. Boko is going to tackle that.
We can draw from that to say we're actually seeing it as one day. It cannot be that it's individuals that are disconnected. I agree with you. And taking it from that trend to say there is companies that are set up for the sole purpose of defrauding, companies defrauding people. The cyber attacks that are happening in other jurisdictions are connected to people that have set themselves up for that purpose. So what does it say to us? It says, and I think we are taking responsibility to say, if we were raising awareness, we need to do more. There's more that needs to go out in terms of educating our customers. And I agree with you to say that, yes, we have been led by the police because in our group where we work with the police. So when it comes to the outward messaging, it flows from the police. So I think we are just taking that responsibility to say that as banks we do need to do more, but it is a trend.
Data. Actually, in SA, you have seen where the banks go and approach the MNOs and say, listen, it's an ecosystem play. Let's work together in making sure that we make it much cheaper for clients. In fact, in other instances, they even zero rate some of the transaction types that are going on to the app. No other than Mneti, wasn't it? There we go. Who will take us through from a retail perspective, what are we thinking of in terms of collaborating and working with other providers in making sure that we provide contextual solutions for our clients?
To say how do we collaborate, which is the mobile money side of things. We believe there are opportunities to collaborate. I can't share the details now because of the sensitivity of the conversations. Then the second area where we are looking at collaborating is distribution and channels. I'm sure you can see it in Snabo Cash Plus, MNOs and MA agents. And before you know it, they will double MA agents. So there is need for us to collaborate. So we are also exploring that. Then I think the critical part is what you are talking to, which was relating to data. But Tennessee Bona more has access. We are looking at device financing and preliminary conversations. I'm sure we will see in this market when it comes to financing smartphones, etc., etc. There is not a lot of players who do that. So we're looking at how best we can collaborate with them.